Welcome back, everyone, to MYB Podcast. You guys are watching this video right now all over the world. You're alive and blessed. As always, mind your business. In today's session, we're going to have a discussion about everything you know here and there. Hope this video find you guys helpful, impactful. If not, I don't care. Shit be life. We are going to die one day. So why not chase your dream? With that being said, we're here with the one and only, the original OG. Introduce yourself, player, and give us a quick background about your life and where you grew up, and let's get right into it.
Okay. Well, thank you. I was originally born in Los Angeles, California. I was born in '61. I grew up in a middle-class home and had great parents. Went to Venice High School. Enjoyed life. I mean, I had a great childhood. Did a lot of things, and throughout my whole life, I have done several things. Trained and driven racehorses, skated roller derby, wrote for a major newspaper. I'm a current minister. So, I mean, it's just been a great life, and I'm ready to hear what's going to happen.
So you mentioned you grew up in LA. So is LA safe or dangerous? What's your perspective on LA and whole? What's you?
Is that in today's world or when I grew up?
Matter of fact, both. We could do both.
In Los Angeles, when I grew up and as a kid, was really a pretty interesting city. It was pretty safe. I mean, we had the common, robberies and stuff like that, but there wasn't a lot of killing. I mean, that didn't come along. I mean, you're talking to somebody, we didn't know what a child molester was until late in the 70s. We never had these things. We didn't even have knew what a transgender was, or we knew what gays and lesbians were, sort of, but I mean, it wasn't really practiced. But today, I mean, LA is a cesspool. It's an absolute. I wouldn't go back. I would never go back to LA. Not the way it is. It's not the same city that I left. It's absolutely shameful what it's turned into.
So this podcast basically is broadcast all over the world. So please enlighten the viewers and the listeners. Why should they listen to you and gain this wisdom you're about to drop on them? What made you so wise with all this knowledge you have? Why make you the guy to listen to? Because it's a lot of influence out there, podcasts out there. What made you so different from the rest of the guys? What separates you from them so they should actually lock in and listen to you for like 30 minutes, give or take?
Because I'm genuine. I'm the typical common person. I'm the typical American. I have opinions just like everybody else does. Everybody has an opinion, and there's nothing wrong with an opinion. But there's a lot of statistics and a lot of stats that sway people from one way or another. You are not, whether you're a liberal or a Republican or whatever, you're not going to be able to force somebody to see your way. The only way anybody's going to see the way you want them to is if they experience that situation on their own. The only thing you can do is maybe give them some food for thought, educate them on some other stuff that maybe they don't know, and then they can take their own opinion on what they feel about it.
So speaking about the liberal and Democrat, is the Democrat truly working, or is it just an illusion controlled by the elite?
The Democratic Party has not been the meaning of the Democratic Party since JFK was assassinated. And what I mean, Democrats stood for a lot more middle of the road standards. I mean, they weren't in big support of gay rights, stuff like that. Now, the Democratic Party, as strong as it was back in the 60s, did vote against civil rights for blacks. 13 out of 13 times they voted against civil rights for minorities. You can look that up. That's a guaranteed 100% fact right there. So when they say they're the party of the minorities, they're not the party of the minorities. Actually, the Republicans are. Believe it or not, they're the ones that voted, and that's how a lot of the civil rights bills passed. But now the Democratic Party has turned into elections back in the 70s and 80s. It didn't matter if a Republican or Democrat won. Policies in the United States, monetarily or whatever, didn't really change too much. Yeah, the defense industry, defense, making airplanes and defense weapons compared to Democrats who would pull back on that, that was maybe the biggest difference between a Democrat and a Republican. But now, you know, they support everything from climate change to gays to transgender to people getting sex change operations to bestiality to furries and everything else. I mean, this is stuff that if I went back in time and tried to tell people, they would either shoot me dead or put me in an insane asylum.
Great TV, great TV. So check us out, right? With all the wisdom you don't gain for your entire year, if you were the president of the United States right now, what are some issues you would correct? First, give me the problem, then give me the solution.
Well, one of the major problems today was something I was thinking about. And you know how they were, for years, they were saying defund the police, defund the police. Well, you know, the police is a very interesting thing because cities and states, cities pay for city police and the states pay for their highway patrols and stuff. But as president, what I would actually do is put all law enforcement under the military budget. And what I mean by that, they wouldn't be military people, but they would fall under the military budget, which means that we could use, as you know, the police departments all over the country say they're short of officers. Well, why can't we just take some of the people in the Army, some of those service people that are moving one pile of sand to another pile of sand just to fill out a day? Instead, we can put a police uniform on them and they can go on patrol with regular patrol officers and we could beef up our police forces. And guess what? The cities don't have to pay for it because if it falls under the defense industry contract, then that means the cities will save a whole lot of money, which means that they can put that back to the citizens and help the city grow and take care of social programs that are much needed. As you know, a lot of the problems that we have today is mental health. Well, if cities didn't have to pay police departments, they could use that money for stronger mental health organizations and end a lot of the crime. And as police officers retire out, as they get older and they retire, you just replace them with with service personnel, so that eventually in 30 years, the police force will basically be the Army, but they'll be in police uniforms just like you see now. They won't be walking around the streets like they're dictator countries where the soldiers walk the street. No, they'll be wearing police uniforms just like they do now. The thing is, they will be better trained. They will have access to better weapons in case of any major incidents, and overall, it would save a lot of money. I mean, every soldier gets paid. A lot of them do nothing for getting paid, and it's not their fault. It's just the way it's set up. So we could put them to work. You know, we could also put them work in national disasters. Bring in the military to to help. We have so many resources in this country that I would use the military more for civilian affairs than we really need to do as far as foreign affairs, because as we all know, the next war will probably be an air war, technology war. You won't need boots on the ground. The Army is becoming somewhat obsolete. Yeah, it's nice you got a strong standing Army, but with the technological weapons that we have today, I mean, it's almost pointless. So we got to find other things for their service personnel to do. And if there's no wars to fight or no conflicts, you know, it can get pretty boring.
I was following your bio, and I read in your bio you had a nickname called Chicken Boy. What's the story behind they calling you Chicken Boy?
Chicken Boy actually came when I was working at Los Alamitos Racetrack. I had stopped training temporarily, and I was working for the Teamsters Local 495. I became a union head. But the Chicken Boy was because there were instances where I've got short legs, and the short legs kept me from a Major League Baseball career. And I would run funny. You know, like, I don't know, most people nowadays wouldn't remember Ron Say, but I kind of run a little bit like a chicken or a penguin. So as people saw me running, my boss, he kind of stuck, chicken, Brian, you run like a chicken. I think that's your new nickname, Chicken Boy. So everybody started, even including the CEO of the racetrack, Mr. Edward Allred. He would always, after I'd park him, he'd say, "How you doing, Chicken Boy?" And I mean, it was a compliment. I mean, it was great. I enjoyed it.
I noticed, right, a lot of college kids, NBA, pretty much sports in general, they're making millions and millions of dollars now, NIL deals, whatever. So how do franchise sports generate millions and millions of dollars? And who really profit from these most? Like, do the players profit? Like, is it behind the scene? What's your...
Oh, it is. There's no doubt that the players make all the money. And I'll tell you, you can go and look at statistics. I mean, the LA Dodgers, Yankees, the Raiders, the Cowboys. Well, most of your pro football owners do make money because of what, but not as much as you think. There is so much overhead that comes along. Yeah, you get the gate and everything, but when you're paying players $25 and $30 million a year, it doesn't take long before that adds up. And they're like the Colorado Rockies, Kansas City Royals, some of the baseball teams, hockey teams, even a few NBA teams. They have to pay these immaculate salaries to stay competitive. Otherwise, they're not competitive. A lot of people ain't going to come. A prime example is the Los Angeles Dodgers. I'll give you two examples. The Dodgers, when they, back in the when they moved from Brooklyn, New York, they were owned by the O'Malley family. Walter O'Malley, that was it. He owned the team. That was it. The Dodgers was his main source of income. He had no other income. So when those players got paid and whatever, the team more or less paid within itself. Peter O'Malley, his son, took over and did the same thing. The Dodgers were a very successful franchise because they didn't get into the free market access, and they kept it local. But the thing is, anybody that owns a football, hockey, whatever franchise, they're not owning it to make money. I don't care. When you're able to own something like that, you've got money that you can throw away and you don't even worry about. So it's a prestige thing. It's like Ted Turner, who owned the Atlanta Braves, who was part of Turner Network, TBS, everything. Well, when Rupert Murdoch, he was Turner's main rival. Well, he decided, hey, I want to buy a baseball team. So he went out and bought the Dodgers from the O'Malleys. And, he didn't make a ton of money. But, I mean, it was like his rival. He had a better team than his rival. But that's just the way. Every owner is the same thing. It's prestige. I want to be one of those few people in the history of the world that owns a franchise, whether it's a football franchise in England, Manchester United, whatever. I mean, there was a rumor going out there that Elon Musk is going to pay $14 billion for the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, they're not worth that much money, but when you've got money to throw away, you can prime do it. I mean, don't be surprised if you hear something like that. I mean, Steve Jobs, maybe it wasn't, I can't remember who it was, bought the Clippers, the LA Clippers, not that good of a team, for $2 billion about 7 years ago. $2 billion, they're not worth it. There's not too many basketball teams that are worth $2 billion. And as far as I'm concerned, of course the players benefit. You got LeBron James making, God knows what, $30 million a year. You've got baseball players making $30 million. Heck, pitchers, $30 million a year, pitching one time out of every 4 or 5 days. What kind of a salary is that? It's the players that are making the money. The fans get screwed because the players' salaries go up. Now the fans got to pay more money. I mean, I think the cheapest ticket at a football game now is $100, and that's in the nosebleed seats. How many hardworking people can afford that? It's just getting ridiculous. At least the NFL has a salary cap. These other franchises got to, or else really owners will not make money. But then, if an owner loses $1 million a year, what's that if you're worth $2 billion? So I mean, that's just broken down in a nutshell. Yeah, the players make the players make it out on that.
Man, since we're on sports, right? The greatest conversation, the discussion is the better basketball player. We got LeBron, Jordan, or Kobe. Who you going with? What's the who the GOAT? Everyone always just who the GOAT.
Who are the three again?
LeBron, Kobe, Let's go with LeBron and Kobe for right now. Who you got?
With the money down, I'd go with Kobe.
What about Michael Jordan or LeBron?
I'd go with Michael Jordan. Well, Michael Jordan's the GOAT.
Over Kobe? Over everyone?
Over everyone.
What about the entire NBA? Who will classify?
Of the NBA today?
No, let's go back. Because today it's different. Let's go back. Who we got? The greatest to come up. What we got?
I would have to say, I know this sounds strange, but I would have to go scoring-wise. I would have to go with possibly Kareem Abdul-Jabbar because he had one of the most unique shots in the NBA. But as far as overall, you'd have to go with Jordan. I mean, he could shoot, he could pass, he could steal, he could do it all. Now, the greatest playmaker, no doubt about it, Magic Johnson. There was nobody that could run the fast break and make the ball do things that Magic was. He was the best playmaker.
What about the greatest post player? Who was the greatest big man?
Oh, that's got to be Wilt Chamberlain.
What about Shaquille O'Neal?
Nah, overrated.
Overrated?
Overrated.
So, right, check this out. Every time I look on the news, social media, the first thing you're going to see, climate change. Everyone always blames shit on climate change. Climate change that, climate change that. So my question is to you, right? Are we past the point of reversing climate change? Or are there still hope for the planet? What we got with the planet?
There isn't one thing that man could do to change the climate. Not with the way it is now. Look, you've got 4 volcanoes out there spewing like crazy. Those 4 volcanoes are spewing more ash and more harmful elements into the atmosphere than we could do in 50 years. I mean, we've only been following weather for about 150 years. We don't know what the weather was like 2,000 years ago. We don't know anything about what weather was like. Climate change is an absolute farce. It's an absolute. I can't believe that anybody would be stupid enough to fall for such garbage. I mean, spending money on it. The world, we were in the Paris Climate Accords. You got the 2 major countries, India and China. They spew out more poison than 4 times than we do, but nobody does anything to them. But then, the liberals, they want to shut me down and keep me from driving a gas-powered car. Bullshit. I'll drive what I want. You ain't going to make me stop driving anything just to pacify a whim that you have no control about. Humans have no control over climate change. That's just Mother Earth, God's creation, doing what she does best. Do we cause earthquakes? Yes, we do, in some aspects. And this is a very interesting, just to talk about a little bit on Earth.
Enlighten me.
We used to, as I said, I grew up in L.A. We used to have earthquakes all the time. But I was always wondering, in Nevada, they were always doing underground testing with, the atomic bombs and everything. So just think about this. You've got a 50 megaton device into the earth. You blow this thing up, and I mean, you can't say it's going to stay in a relatively circularized zone. No, it's going to spread out. And I think it was those atomic explosions underground that put a lot of pressure on the faults in California. They stopped the nuclear testing, I think, in 1980, something like that. And then we had the Loma Prieta. Was that in 92? I can't remember when the Loma Prieta earthquake. That was basically the last real major kaboom earthquake that caused massive amounts of damage. Now you just have several little small quakes. They haven't had a major cataclysmic earthquake in California in 30 years, or maybe 25 years. So, isn't that kind of coincidental? They ended nuclear testing, and in 10 years after that, the earthquakes started to subside. Now, that's something that can be man-made. That's something that's man-caused. But as far as the atmosphere is concerned, no, we cannot control the atmosphere. We're not the cause of what's going on. That's just the cycle of the earth. Every 1,000 years, 300 years, whatever. Please get off of it. There is no climate change. We're not going to do this. We're not going to all fry tomorrow. climate change is a myth. It's stupid, and it has no place in our society.
Great theory, great theory. From we came out the womb, right? We were programmed. We go to elementary school, we go to high school, we go to college, we get a job, you get a mortgage, you get a loan, you get a car payment, you're stuck in traffic, you work for someone, you go to 9 to 5, you sleep a certain time, you wake up a certain time, you cook, you eat, went back out, work for the white man, come back, rinse and repeat. So with all that chatting being said right now, do a small group of elite truly control the economy, the politics, the media? Who really control this matrix we live in? Who really control this? What's your theory about it?
Well, one thing about it, there's no question that the upper elite have a lot to do, and I'm not talking about just in the U.S., I'm talking about the world. There's a lot of conspiracy theories going on out there that there are, they want to go ahead and cleanse the earth and have just a certain amount of people, restart the earth in their image or whatever. Yeah, I believe that as a matter of fact, I strongly believe that there are people out there that try to control everything, and then once somebody tries to stop it, they're stepped on. We have a president right now, and we actually have the richest man in the world actually bucking the trend of what we think is, the elites running the world. You have the liberals and the media accusing Musk of trying to steal money from the people. I mean, the man's worth almost $400 billion, and he needs to steal money from the people. As long as I'm not losing any money, he can do whatever he wants. And that should be your main goals. Quit worrying about what Musk is doing and worry about what you're doing. He ain't going to do anything that's going to affect your life any more, any less, unless we get the $5,000 refund. But we'll see that way if that happens. But yeah, there are powers out. Well, corporations are the same way. You got the elites running a corporation and the peons working down underneath. We're the peons, yes. There's no doubt about it. You need the rich to have the middle class. We can't survive without the rich. Believe it or not, you cannot survive without the rich. Because they're the ones with the money. They're the ones that employ you. They're the ones that pay you. If they don't pay you and you make no money, how are you going to survive in this world? You're going to live on the street. You may think it sucks that somebody's got billions of dollars and you're just a working stiff for that guy. Oh well, it just so happens that's the way life is. If you don't like it, find some way to change it. Unlike 30 years ago, there's plenty of alternatives out there that you can make money if you don't want to work for somebody else. But if you're just the regular guy, you just have to realize the rich have control and we're just in their world. But we live our lives. And like me, I make $25,000 a year, live in Alva, Oklahoma, and I mean, it's great. I mean, I make a go of it, me and my wife. We're doing okay. I mean, it's like, why should I care who the richest man in the world is or what they're doing in government? I do care when it comes to certain things, but I mean, that goes without saying. But yeah, the rich and powerful will always have power. We just have to accept it and live our own lives in our own comfortable way.
The future we're living in, right? Everything now, it's about technology and it's about this AI that's taking over and it's killing a lot of jobs, right? So the rich is already rich. That's the high class. Mm-hmm. The middle class and lower class, right? What would happen to them when AI come and swipe out their jobs? Like, where would they become homeless? Like, well, and then if they're homeless, would it be a riot? Because it's like, would it be a revolution against human versus robots? Like, because they're homeless, they have no job, they have nothing to lose. All their money tied up in the bank. So what would happen to the middle class and lower class?
Well, that's a very interesting question. I mean, there's no doubt about that technology has, in the way I've seen it, it's really ruined us. And I mean, it's great in a lot of ways, but I mean, everybody is so dependent on technology now that, what happens if the technology goes? And it's very easy to go. What if an EMP strike? All electricity goes, computers go, every car will be fried, the computer system, you won't be able to drive it, it'll be totaled. I mean, when you get dependent on something too strong, you'll get it'll be really disastrous if you lose it. And kids nowadays, everybody's on their cell phones doing that. I mean, I'm on the cell phone. I mean, doing what I do, but I mean, I could live without it. I mean, I could live without TV. I mean, yeah, I'd be a little bored, a little whatever, but yeah, I could do, because I did it. We didn't have it back when I grew up. We didn't have cell phones or nothing like that. You had to use a rotary phone. We used to go on 45-mile bike rides round trip, and I'd be gone all day. How do you think my parents felt? Not hearing a phone call or whatever, wondering if their son is dead, if I rode off a bridge or fell in the water or whatever. I mean, think about that time. But everybody adapted to it. So I mean, now it's a whole different thing. But yes, I believe that technology is taking away the middle class jobs. Of course, now middle class is considered, I think, $80,000 to $250,000. That's middle class. That's a high standard compared to what it is. I make $25,000 a year. I'm poverty. Even though I'm living comfortably, I'm poverty. I'm the lowest of the food chain. But do I care? No. I'm happy with it. I got a great job at the Northwest Oklahoma State University, the college. I know a lot of the kids. We all get along. So I'm happy as a lark. But some people aren't, and that's unfortunate. But you got to learn that in society, you got to take what's dealt to you and go ahead and try to make the best of it. But I feel that probably, and I've said this before, I believe that technology will be the end of mankind.
So since we're in technology, moving to the future. What does the future look like for humanity, technology, the economy, the global? How you view the overall, the bigger picture with technology here? How do it look like for the technology and economy?
Well, it's going to come down to those that can survive in the economy. I mean, let's take the Bitcoin, for example. I honestly and truly believe that Bitcoin will eventually be worth anywhere from $500,000 to $700,000, and it's just the way. The reason why is because the money is technological. In other words, it's not taxed. It's kind of fascinating. You have money right now. Our dollar, the very dollar. You pull out a dollar bill. You know how much that thing's really worth? It's worth about 55 cents. That's the value of our dollar. Money in the United States is horrible right now in the value of money. And the rest of the world knows it, but the rest of the world can't do anything about it because, let's face it, everybody needs the United States. Sorry to say that, and if you're in Poland or whatever, but the United States supports the economy of the world. If the United States falls apart, the economy of the world falls with it. So everybody's in the same boat. But I'll tell you this: I wouldn't want to raise a child from today to birth in this society, because this society's gone. It's a disaster. I from crime, from the transgender, from all the pounding of negative and situations on computers and cell phones. I just feel that humanity will destroy itself through technology eventually, and if the second coming of Christ could be a lot nearer than we think.
You mentioned transgender. We call it a it, she, thing, classifies whatever you want to classify. You're in public with your wife. She need to use the restroom. Boop. A transgender, well, a guy identifies transgender, full gear on, walk in this restroom. Would you be comfortable with that, or would it be a problem in this situation?
Oh, no, it'd be a serious problem. I'd walk right in behind him, grab him by his shirt, and throw him right back out of the bathroom. There is no call for that. You can wait until my wife is done. Then you can go inside. If you got a problem with it, then we'll go outside and I'll take care of it real fast. That's the bottom line. No man is going to be, no it creature or whatever you want to call them, or as that funny line in Crocodile Dundee when he referred to it as Sheila. That ain't happening. No Sheilas will be allowed in a bathroom with my wife. And Target got in problems with that. They allowed that crap. They don't allow it no more because true men would not let that happen. Someone that has a sex change operation, I hate to say it, should just take them out and shoot them because they're beyond help.
Interesting theory. Do you have any, well, since social media right now and the internet, because back in the days, many kids nowadays didn't have access to the internet, like a click of a button and you could access the world, right? So do you have any advice for male, right, who are so concerned about watching pornography, damaging their brain? Do you find anything wrong with pornography and the people who run in the business? Do you have any negative or positive about pornography?
Well, oh boy, is this a loaded subject. You know, there's no doubt that people out there take care of themselves with themselves, and there are things you can do to do that. I mean, women, for example, use little vibrating toys and everything to help themselves do what they need to do, and men do whatever they need to do, you know, a hand job, whatever, to take care of frustration. But I mean, as far as watching pornography, I mean, if somebody really as long as it's not child pornography, especially when anybody that watches children is the sickest individual on this planet, and I guarantee you they should be taken out and beaten to death. Anybody that hurts a child, watches stuff like that, they should be taken out and beaten to death. As far as anything else, if they're grown-ups or whatever, hey, people pay big. A lot of those porn stars make big money for doing that, and there's a lot of people that watch it, and there's really nothing wrong with it. I mean, you know, if a young man in college or high school and everything has a girlfriend, maybe you know, or something, maybe he could look at some pornography, take care of business instead of, you know, having sex with her, and the next thing you know, she says, "Oh, Fred, I'm pregnant." Then Dad says, "Well, guess what, Fred? You're marrying my daughter now." Okay, why you got to be careful. You got to be careful on that. And it's kind of a tough situation. So now, I mean, to each his own. What you do in your home is your business. I've always believed in that. What you do in your home is your business, and nobody has the right to tell you different. So the government can't come in and tell you. So whatever you want to do is, if that's what gets your rocks off, then hey, I have no problems with it.
So, vice versa, females do OnlyFans, right? Do you have a problem with females doing OnlyFans? Because now, right?
No, wait, now? What now?
OnlyFans.
What's that?
Females selling their vagina for a cash flow.
Oh, okay.
Now,
hookers.
Yeah, do you have a problem with that? But end of the day now, it's not a lot of masculinity male out there who are pretty much successful and high value to take care of a female. So a female selling her body for money, is that really a bad or good thing than the female who is just being a hooker for no cash flow, who is just sleeping with 10 guys for no money, than the female who is actually sleeping with 10 guys, but they're getting money? Do you have any negative or bad about?
No, I mean, it comes down to the fact that hey, everybody's got to make a living, and as far as prostitution's concerned, I'm for it. I mean, you know, regulate it, make it legal all over the country. I mean, it's the world's oldest profession. And I mean, prime example. Back in the early 80s, I did some pimping for a friend of mine. He was a good guy. He was, had expensive call girls. I mean, his girls were expensive. They just weren't some little cheap hooker that was on the street. I mean, they had to, he took care of them, but he had a bad time of being able to promote his product. So he asked if I would do that. So I I brought him a lot of customers because I knew some influential people, a lot of actors and a couple of political figures, and those political figures, they were customers. Can't name who they are. So, but yeah, I got him a lot of clientele, and I did it for a year. But he was very good. He treated his girls good. If he didn't treat the girls good, I wouldn't have done it. So yeah, and I always say, and believe me, pimping ain't easy.
What about depression? Is depression real or not? Do people actually experience depression, or just a state of mind? Like, what is depression?
Depression's a real thing. I mean, it's a serious thing. I mean, you have to be strong, and again, you have to be strong religiously in the Lord to be able to ask for help. But yes, people get depressed. When you feel like everything seems against you, it's just a mindset. You can't let you can't let people tear you down, and this is what's called, they talk about cyberbullying. Look, everybody, nobody is any better than you are. You are a human being just like they are. Maybe they're in a better profession, maybe they make more money than you, but they're still just a human being. They still bleed, they still whatever. So don't let anybody talk you down. Don't let tear you down. There's no reason to get depressed over anybody. Yeah, true, you lose a loved one. Yeah, you have a few days of depression and everything, but that's normal. That's absolutely normal. But getting depressed over world affairs, or whether you're getting a refund check, or whether you're going to get your check, or whether, I've always been a firm believer in, don't drink because you're depressed. Drink a little because you're happy. Because drinking does no good if you're depressed. Because guess what? You're going to wake up with a hangover. You're going to throw up a few times. You're going to feel like shit for about 8 hours. But guess what? That problem there didn't go away. So yeah, depression is an interesting subject, and it's all in the mind. It's how you let people control you. If you let people manipulate you, then yeah, you will go into a depression, and it's a cruel thing. But don't let people do it. Nobody should be able to make you feel bad. If they're going to talk like that, slap them in the face, kick their ass, do whatever you want to make yourself feel better. But don't kill yourself or get depressed because somebody's downgrading you. They can go take a hike off a short bridge for all I care.
Any advice, right, for a young male growing up in this environment, in social media, whatever, in their 20s, just coming out of a relationship heartbreak? What advice do you give someone in their 20s, especially a male, to handle and move forward into life? Because breakup happened, shit be life, female come and go. You sacrifice the queen, but you're the king. So what would you tell young men out there who just come out of a relationship, they're depressed, they start watching pornography, they start being complacent, they start playing video games? Any particular advice to give someone who's going through a breakup or hard time, especially in the 20s?
Well, it's really easy. If you were in a relationship at some time, or in several relationships before, then why are you getting depressed? It's obvious that, okay, throw her away. You can't. No girl should be able to control your life. If they dump you, oh well, you go find another one. And then if that one dumps you, you go find another one. There are a dime a dozen out there. Yeah, you just gotta go and be pursuant, and don't get depressed because a woman turns you down, or a girl leaves you, or whatever. Okay, one, yeah, there's more. If you've never been in a relationship before, then we've got a problem, and you've got a problem, and it could be spiritually, it could be physically. I mean, you could look like a toad. I don't know, but the fact of the matter is, you shouldn't let girls. And I have actually found, my stepson, a couple of young people I know, they're more interested in making money. Their expression, their quote is, "Girls are bad for the balance sheet," which means if you're a true gentleman, you're going to take a girl out and you're going to buy her dinner, and if you go to a movie, whatever. But unlike when I was a kid in high school, dinner and a movie was maybe $4. Now it's $60 for all of it. Not many 20-year-olds are going to have that kind of money unless they've got rich parents. So, it depends on the girl. Now, in the Midwest, yeah, girls are more wholesome. They're more old-fashioned. But you go to the big cities, they're girls. They're stuck up. They're, in LA, I mean, I can remember when the girls were, all they want is money. Take me out, buy me this, buy me that, buy me this. I mean, come on. No girl's worth all that shit. I mean, they have to have some scruples somewhere. And if they're expecting you to do everything, then do what you can with them and then broom them fast. So, and that's pretty much that on that subject.
So, since we're on female, right, what's your perspective on abortion?
Woo! I believe that there's a certain time when there's a cutoff. And being a minister, now remember, I am a minister. And, that's going to be and always will be the main topic and the main that will split anybody anywhere. But I believe that as soon as there's a heartbeat, that is now a life. And when that heartbeat occurs, that child needs to come to full term. If you feel that you're pregnant, and a girl knows pretty quickly, then within the first week after you do it with somebody or whatever, there's liquids or stuff that you can take that'll automatically take care of the problem, and you're not really killing a child. But when that heartbeat, that's a child. That's when it stops. Sorry, you're gonna have to take it to term. Now, a lot of people say, well, what if they, rape, incest, stuff like that? Well, it's still got to come to term, but the government needs to step in and say, hey, all right, we need programs for those young ladies to have their child and to help them raise that child. If they have to raise it alone, because it's tough. I mean, a single mom, it's tough for her to find a guy, because a lot of guys don't want to be tied down with no child, especially if they're young, in their early 20s or even in their teens. So it makes it rough on a mommy. So what you got to do is you've got to have a program out there to help these ladies get through the time until they can kind of take care of themselves, or they do find a mate that's willing to take that child and her and then take care of business. I mean, but I'm for abortion, but to a certain point. Not right from, no, you should not take the life of a child if it has a heartbeat. Sorry, you've had plenty of time before that to make that decision. No, once it's got a heartbeat, it comes to term.
Great deal, great perspective on this. So I know that's right. I know in your past life you witnessed a lot of financial crises, crashes, the market crashed, the economy boom, bubble burst, vice versa. So why do you think financial crises keep happening? Is the matrix pretty much, or the big power pretty much crashing the system by its own to benefit from the poor? Like, why do financial crises keep happening?
Because people don't get the right advice. You have to look at what you're comfortable with, and you have to understand that as you're growing up, especially with your parents, you have to kind of understand where you're going to go as far as what you're going to be. If you're lucky enough to be an athlete, hey, sky's the limit, you can whatever. But as far as things happen, it's all about spreading, it's all about people talking to people. Now, for example, there was a situation in '87. It happened 2 times, but the time that I did, I made $27,000 in 1987 on the stock market because it plunged. And the reason it plunged was something that really wasn't that big of a deal. United Airlines, and as we all know, United Airlines was one of the biggest airlines in the world at that time. Well, they were needing, I guess, to update some planes or something, so they applied for a loan from Chemical Bank. And Chemical Bank turned them flat down and said, no, we can't loan you money for whatever reason. And I mean, when people heard that, the market went boom. One stupid one stupid decision cost the lives of so many people as far as finances. And I mean, I was great. I turned $180 into $27,000. I loved it. Great thing for me. But I mean, one little thing, people panic. The man will always destroy what it doesn't understand. That's just the way man is. And because of some minor thing, they thought this was going to crash the economy when it wasn't even close to crashing an economy. So what if United Airlines didn't get the loan? Big deal. Were they going to go out of business? No, that wasn't happening. They weren't even close to bankruptcy. So I mean, the media has a lot to do with it. Fear mongering has a lot to do with it. The government, I mean, the crash in 2008, that's just because people were spending way too much money for real estate and property. And, once that, you get, you're paying $500 a month at the, or whatever for a little cheap, well, no, I shouldn't say 500. Most of the payments are about $1,200 back in those times. $1,200, well, think about how much $1,200 a month is. And if you're only making $2,800 a month, think about that. That could put you in quite a financial strain. You need everything to go right to make sure that everything goes correctly. One little thing upsets the apple cart. Next thing you know, you're on the street because you can't make your payment. And that's what happened to a lot of people. The jobs kind of dried up and they started, and it's not like you can refinance the house or anything. I mean, you're still going to have to make that $1,200 payment even if the value gets cut in half. And that's what destroyed people. I mean, my God, people were foreclosing. They were leaving their homes. I mean, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac were going down the toilet because they had a lot of those loans. So it's not exactly the rich or the powerful or whatever. It's man. Man himself is the one that destroys his own entity. And I mean, by rumors and by listening to people and doing this. It's like, there's a famous story. I go to somebody and say, man, look how I cut my nail. Look at that. Pretty bad cut, huh? But hey, not a big deal. Just wrap Band-Aid around it. So then people start talking. Well, by the time I hear the story again, oh, my arm's been amputated. I've got gangrene. I'm near death. I mean, it's just how people like to add on to what a simple story. It starts out simple, and next thing you know, they've turned it into this horrifying disaster. It's like, you stick your finger in the dike of a dam, but another hole. Man creates his own misery. That man created financial disasters and stuff. We created ourselves. There's no magic that creates it.
So since we're on money and finance, right? Everyone now is so, back then there was not. But now everyone is the big secret. The Bitcoin, the crypto. So is Bitcoin the new money? And how should we prepare to what's to come? Because last time Bitcoin was at 40-some couple cents. Now it's almost 100K, almost 100. So what's your theory on this Bitcoin situation and its cash decrease in value? And Bitcoin is skyrocketing. What's this all Bitcoin chat about? Walk me through crypto.
Oh, that's really easy. Crypto is catching on slowly because you have my generation. We're people that we want it in our hands. Okay, if it comes down to it, I want to have a safe in my floor full of gold and silver, because gold and silver will always be worth what gold and silver is. That's just the way my generation thinks. So what's going to happen to crypto? Oh, it's going to skyrocket. And why will it skyrocket? Why do I say in 30 years when I said earlier in the interview? Because when my generation dies, there's going to be nobody that's going to stop it. Everybody right now, everybody that's born, everybody in the last 10 years, they're just being constantly bombarded with crypto. And they're starting to get into it. But my generation probably will not, because we just don't like it. But as we die off and more generations come, they're going to guess where they're going. They're not going to look at past. They're not going to look at history. They're going to look at what's in front of them. And crypto is going to be the new money. I say in 30 years there will be no cash, no coins, no nothing. It'll all be crypto. Everything will be electronic. I mean, Bitcoin, sky's the limit. God only knows where it'll end up. Dogecoin, Litcoin, all of them. They're all going to skyrocket. And that's just because, like I said, my generation dies. It'll be a whole different world. It'll 30 years. If you're a young man right now, buy into a coin or something, a crypto. Just hold on to it. Don't spend it. Just hold on to it and watch the rise as each year passes by and more of us generation dies. You'll see crypto going up and up and up.
I was on Bloomberg like 2 days ago. I was minding my business, just watching Bloomberg in the background, and I saw a caption that says the AIDS virus is back. So what is this AIDS virus? Is AIDS virus what's your theory on this AIDS virus? Because how is it still back, or did it? And what's going on with AIDS virus situation?
the AIDS virus situation. Well, I there's no theory. This is a fact. And in the late 50s, early 1962, the CIA came up with an idea. And you got to remember, this is in the heart of the Cold War. Russia was a main problem. China was coming up and everything. So they did what they did was they, in a CIA laboratory, they developed this thing to where a disease to where it would affect the immune system and the ability for people to reproduce. Now think about this. In a country like Russia, whose people were basically behind a wall, as we know, the Berlin Wall and everything, and couldn't leave their country, how best to, if you're looking to the future 40, 50 years from that time, the best way to fight an army is to kill off the army, but not with army to army, but where people can have children. Imagine if 65% of the population couldn't have children. Well, how are men going to be born? And if there's not enough men to be born, you're not going to have enough people to defend your country. So the theory with the CIA behind this was that we eliminate the men, then we won't have the problem down line. Trouble is that so they needed subjects. So of course they tested on animals, and animals came through true to form, just like any other guinea pigs. They use animals before they release something. But they needed to know how it worked on man. So what they did was they went over to Africa, and no, I'm not being racial or nothing like this. They went over to Africa and found tribal tribes that were kind of backward. And they didn't know about technology or anything. So what they did was they used them as human guinea pigs. They would inject them with the virus. They would study them and, and find out the results. But the problem was they didn't keep tabs on a lot of the people that they used this on. So unfortunately, they migrated into South Africa, and then that's where the AIDS virus came from, was South Africa. That's where it started. And so they, intermingled. Next thing you know, they're spreading the virus, and the domino effect began. I mean, it started in one person. It took 30 years for it to finally fester, and it did. I mean, it was a way, and then the government, our government, and a lot of world governments figured, well, we need to slow down the birth rate. So why not just let it flow? So they just let the whole damn. They could have stopped it. It would have been real easy to stop it. They didn't want to stop it. They wanted it to do its thing. And especially in the gay community, because that's who was really greatly affected. It started getting to the point to where dirty needles gave you AIDS, this gave you AIDS, that gave you AIDS. It turned into a lot more than what the originators of it had intended for it. So it came along and it was getting worse. It was a serious thing. I mean, it was as bad as COVID. I mean, in some ways, it really was. It was killing people, and. So then, but what was really coincidental Magic Johnson acquired the disease. The HIV, they call it HIV. That's how it starts, and then it develops into AIDS. He actually got it, and he started speaking out against it and trying to see what would happen, and he brought it really to light. I mean, it was a serious thing. They even had a major musical. I can't think of it. All the major rock groups got together and they had a big songathon and to raise money for AIDS, for the cure and everything. When in all reality, the cure was there. And so all of a sudden, Magic Johnson, he didn't die, did he? He's living a nice, healthy life. Everything's going great. I'm glad for him. But why is that? But why is he? How did he survive it? Because obviously it's, again, the rich and the elite always find a way to get around the system to be able to protect themselves. So then, all of a sudden, have you heard of AIDS? No, nobody's heard of AIDS. It's like smallpox, polio, stuff like that. They happen. Measles is coming back in Texas. I mean, all these things that we used to have that you thought was eliminated from the earth, it's still out there. I mean, and AIDS is still out there. So what's happening probably is there's been talk that AIDS is trying to make a rebound. Well, that could be just because somebody's pissed at the world and decided maybe they're going to release it back out again. I don't know. I mean, but it was a man-made virus, just like COVID. Man-made virus, and it's just what it is.
Great theory. So my question you, right? So we have lower class, middle class, and higher class, right? So what are the biggest secret the wealthy people know about money that the average people doesn't? What make them so successful? What make them the 1%? How come they acquire such high value in balance sheet cash flow that other people don't know about? What's their secret? What's some of the secret they got?
Well, I mean, think about it. Inventions is one thing. I mean, you come up with an invention. I mean, somebody came up with a thing where a little holder where you put between your seat and your whatchamacallit there to catch your change or whatever falls out. The guy's worth $1 million. You've got these smooshmallows. I love the damn things. They're great to sleep on. God, they're better than pillows.
Right next to you.
Yeah, look at this. This is Rocket. He's so soft. Oh God, squeezable, sleep on, lay like it. Hey Rocket, yeah, hey Daddy, oh, am I on TV? Never mind. So just think about that. Look at that thing. It sells for about $19. Make it in China, probably for $2. The great markup on it. But whoever invented these things, he's a billionaire. I mean, if you make the right invention and it sells, baby, you're gonna make Elon Musk. Look at him. He came from basically nothing, and now he's got these missiles, rockets. He's got his own car company. It's all about development. And yes, there's apparently, I don't know if it's God, saying that you're going to be this, or he picks out somebody that's going to do this, somebody that's going to find the cure for cancer. But believe me, the cure for cancer's out there. And so, but it's just real estate's always made the most millionaires. That goes without saying. But guys like Donald Trump got $1 million from his dad. He took it and turned it into an empire. How? Real estate, developing, taking chances on businesses. That's the whole thing. And then you get, some guy that decides, I don't know how to describe it. Amazon, you have drop shipments, you have all these things, ideas that people come up, and it's great because you come up with the idea and then you get the people under you. The people under you build your business, and next thing you know, you're worth $300 billion, and now you're part of the major elite. But it's like I said, and to all you morons out there that think taxing the wealthy is the way to get us out of this deficit, if you believe that, then your brain's on absolute Drano. because like I said before, we need the rich to live our lives. Sorry, it sucks, but that's the bottom line. So, they're gonna be out there. But if you took the wealth of the 1% that you're talking about, that would come to about maybe $4 trillion, maybe. That includes the Elon Musks and all of them. It might come to a little more than that. So, what are you going to do with the other $30 trillion? Where are you going to get that from? Look, the way to get the deficit down is not that way. It's called cut wasteful spending. And exactly what's going on, exactly what Elon Musk is doing right now. They're going in and cutting out the crap.
Earlier, you mentioned real estate. I personally love real estate. That's my passion. That's my goal. But knowing interest rate right now for the housing market is so high, 6.8% and 7%, maybe continue to climb it, right? Is real estate right now still the best investment in today's economy, or is there about to be a big ass bubble?
The only way to make money in real estate right now is if you have already money. And what I mean by that, if you have $2 million, even with the interest rates, you don't need interest rates. If you have $2 or $3 million, you can go out there and quick turn a house for $200 and some thousand in 1 month. And I mean that's just buying a foreclosed property, buying a home that is worth $300,000 for $150,000 or whatever. You can turn around and sell that in 2 days, take $25,000 off of it, bam, you make $125,000 in 2 days. Yes, if you have established money, real estate is the way to go right now, because you don't have to pay the interest because you're paying cash. And that's the key. Where it sucks is the poorer people that have to pay that enormous mortgage rate to buy a home. And then there's no guarantee that that home will depreciate. So in other words, I'm buying a home for $200,000. I'm paying a 7% interest rate right now. Okay, so now I own a home. $200,000 at a 7% interest rate. All right, so 7% of $200,000 is probably around $16,000, something like that. What would that be? $16,000 a year. So just in simple numbers. Well, I have to if I make $30,000 a year and I'm paying $16,000 on my mortgage, that leaves me $14,000. Man, that ain't the greatest thing in the world. I can't afford to buy that house. Now I have a job that's paying me $70,000. Yeah, I can make that payment. But what happens if I lose that job at $70,000? Now all of a sudden I have to accept a $30,000 job to make ends meet. Well, guess what? Now I can't afford that payment. And if my house hasn't appreciated enough money, I can't get a refinanced loan on that. And remember, it takes a long time at $16,000 a year, and you've got that payment. That's a lot of money. You got to pay back the interest. And that's $16,000 a year plus the original principal that you bought it for. So for somebody like me, it's just not in the cards. And what's going to happen is the bubble is going to burst because these people have bought homes, and that's all in great. But if they start losing their jobs and they can't afford these payments, they're just going to have to walk away from their homes. And then the banks are going to take the homes over. And then what's going to happen is you're not going to be able to sell a home because everybody's going to hear because like I said, once some news organization comes out and says that the housing market is crashing, everybody will panic. It's just mass panic. It's the way humanity is. They will panic. Everybody will start trying to sell their home, or they'll leave their home. The only way to make money in real estate right now is cash. You can't. The interest rates are too high. This market's going to burst. These homes are way too overpriced. The 2008 is going to happen again. I would say maybe in the next 4 years, and that's kind of interesting considering what the Trump administration is doing now. If if Trump is the entrepreneur that he is, he might be already ahead of the game and maybe he might come up with some solutions to keep this. Remember, preventative maintenance is the most important thing. It's like, snow's coming. Be preventative to where it makes it easier for you in the long run, not in the short term. And that's that you got to be prepared.
About 10 minutes ago, you mentioned cancer, right? You mentioned cancer, and speaking of cancer, I read something about alligator blood, the crocodile blood could cure cancer. Do you have any theory about that?
I believed in it. I have believed in that now for 6 years, and the reason why is because in the island countries like Malaysia, Thailand, they've had very good success with alligator blood. Think about the alligator. This thing lives over 100 years. Alligators have the best immune system in the world. There's no question about it. And what I mean by immune system, they don't get sick. They live in some of the worst water that on this planet, and they just live along. So what they've done is they've taken the blood out of the alligator's DNA. They have injected cancerous cells into the blood, and I mean, it just gone. The cells can't survive. So the thing is, I believe that reptiles are the cure for cancer. I believe that people that are bitten by rattlesnakes will never cure cancer because the rattlesnake venom, it's reptilian venom, goes in there and kills the cancer. Remember, a rattlesnake bite, if it gets into your bloodstream, if you get to the hospital fast enough, you'll be okay, and they'll hit you with antivenom. But while that venom is going through your body, it's going through your veins. It's killing shit. I'm saying it's killing stuff in there, and that includes cancer cells. So next thing you know, but I wish I could do a study on that. If there is somebody that watches this video and has the ability to come up with a research or get a research grant, try to prove my theory right. Try to find people that have bitten by rattlesnakes or whatever that have never cured cancer or something. It would be a well worth study, and whoever did that study and could prove what I just said will make a lot of money and go down in history as the person that cured cancer. Alligator blood is the same thing. Reptiles are the key to the cure of cancer. But the reason why you won't see it in the United States is because you got it. Everybody wants the biochemical companies, Merck and all of those companies to survive because they supply all the cancer the chemotherapy drugs and all that other bullshit. Come on. Filling somebody up with a bunch of to try to get cancer. Look at the pro wrestler Roman Reigns. He's beaten leukemia twice. He certainly hasn't done it in this country. I guarantee you he's went back to the islands and had it taken care of. I mean, it's you have to be ready. It's like our medical. You need heart surgery. $1 million. Let's say it's $1 million here. You can go to India and have it done for $100,000. Because what happens is they send their people over here to learn in our schools, which are the best doctor schools in the world. Then they go back to their country and practice what they learn. Well, there you go. That's why a lot of Americans are going and having their surgeries done in other countries. Same thing with cancer or anything else. I've already talked it over with my wife. If I was ever diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, I'm on my way to Malaysia. I'm on my way to Thailand. I'm going to let them inject me with that alligator blood. And I'm a natural healer. My personal self, I will not let a manufactured drug get into my body if I can help it. I don't believe in manufactured drugs. Just like I believe that all the plants on the plants and the trees on the earth, God put them here for a reason. They were put here to serve us. And I believe that you can take certain trees and barks and flowers, mix them together, and you have a cure for whatever ails you. Because remember, Moses and all these guys, they were living 400 or 500 years. Now tell me, how do you live 400 or 500 or even 200 years If you have no aspirin, no antibiotics, no penicillin, no nothing, how are they living 200 years? So think about it, guys. Think about it, that there are alternatives other than going and getting chemotherapy done. There are herbalist doctors here in the United States that will help you find some place to where you can go and do experimentation. That's what I hope Robert Kennedy does. I'm hoping he relaxes all the regulations and says, hey, look, we have this new cancer drug that might be able to cure, but we need volunteers. Well, if I'm stage 4 cancer, yeah, I'll go volunteer. What have I got to lose? I'm going to die anyway. If there's a chance, I'll take it. But right now there's so many regulations. I don't have that right to do that because of regulations. But I should have the right to do whatever I want to make sure that I survive. Take the government bureaucracy and flush it down the toilet. That's what this current administration is doing, and I'm all for it 100%.
About 2 minutes ago, you mentioned God put trees on earth. He was the creation, right? Why is being a tree? He also created marijuana, right? So, what's your belief on the smokers who smoke marijuana and the people who judge people for smoking marijuana and the people also who drink alcohol, but alcohol have a worse effect than marijuana? So is marijuana even good for the body or bad? What's your perspective? Since God put it here, it's a plant. Regardless what human being said, it's illegal. It's legal. It's illegal, but the big pharmacy and use it for medical purposes, but yet it's illegal for, you can go in, but then again, it's legal in some states and not some states. So why is that even, how does that even make sense?
Well, the bottom line is that marijuana is an herb. It's a creation, it's a natural herb. It was a plant. The Chinese were using it 5,000 years ago. It's one of the oldest. They were even up to 3,000 years ago. The Europeans, when it made it to Europe, they were using it for medicinal purposes then. Marijuana has great medicinal purposes. And like I said, it's a natural herb. Yeah, people smoke it and everything. Okay, that's fine. It's not going to hurt them. Do you realize that, what caused, everybody says what caused cancer from cigarettes and everything back in the 60s, 50s, 70s? Do you know why people got cancer? I'll tell you exactly why. It wasn't the cigarettes that gave everybody cancer. It was the asbestos in the filters that everybody was smoking that gave everybody cancer. Because tobacco is also a natural. It's a natural. You take it, put it in or roll it up. When my father found out about that, he stopped smoking filtered cigarettes and started smoking, just wrapping his own and then just with no filter. And I'm not saying that cured it, but I'm just saying there's proof that there was asbestos in the filters that lined those Camel cigarettes and Terratin 500s and all those cigarettes. It wasn't the tobacco that killed people. It was the asbestos in the filters that people were smoking. So I don't know if they still put, I've never smoked, but I don't know if they put asbestos filters in these cigarettes today. But if they do, and if there is asbestos in those filters, then there's a reason why you're still dying of cancer. But I can't say that because I don't smoke. But as far as marijuana, there's nothing wrong with marijuana. Marijuana is safer than alcohol. Come on. I mean, how many people have you heard died from somebody smoking marijuana? Oh, this guy was killed because this guy was smoking marijuana. That's why he killed 3 people. No, marijuana is different than drinking. Marijuana doesn't have that much of an effect on anything. It doesn't fry your brain like they said. It's very healthy for you. It makes you relax. Actually, it'd be real good for road rage. Driving down a LA freeway, you get cut off. Oh, you dirty son of a bitch, I'm going to kick your ass. Then you're on then you have a marijuana cigarette, and you're like, whoa, dude, you cut me off, man. That was a good move. Damn, I'm gonna do the same thing. Yeah, we're gonna play. Yeah, it's the difference because your mindset is you're calmer. You don't get upset. It is a calming effect. It would be good for a lot of people, but booze is to say you ingest it by drinking it, and it gets into your system, and it's not a good thing. If you could drink a glass of wine every day with dinner, That'd be the healthiest thing you could ever do. But people don't do that. They abuse it, and that's just shameful.
About 2 months ago, 3 months ago, you made a video in the cafeteria that went completely viral all over the internet. So this guy, he is right. This is the original guy who made the video in the cafeteria, guys. He went famous. So for you guys out there who didn't know what the video is, could you please enlighten us on the video? What's the video? What's the purpose of the video? Could you please?
I was in the cafeteria at Northwest Oklahoma State and talking with some of the basketball guys, and for some reason, the fact that I didn't brush my teeth since I was 8 years old came up. So one of the guys decided to make a video of it, and who would have ever thought? I have not brushed my teeth since I was 8 years old, and I have every single one of them. I have no tooth problems. I mean, I'm the originator. You can go on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Type in 62-year-old guy that hasn't brushed his teeth, and you'll see that video. Matter of fact, a couple weeks ago at the basketball game, I was going to our basketball game. I guess there was some high schoolers or somebody here. Like 8 people came up to me. Hey, you're the guy in the video that didn't brush his teeth, aren't you? Yes, dear, I am. Oh, can I have a picture taken with you? I'm like, sure. I mean, it's like it became famous. And, the reasoning behind it is really simple. Toothpaste is not good for your teeth, man. It destroys the enamel. Now, they are coming out with alternatives that, minus the fluoride, that I feel is okay. But as far as brushing your teeth with Colgate or Crest, it's not healthy because you're taking the protective enamel off your teeth. Like I said, I've done hydrogen peroxide. Do it twice a week, and it does the trick. You don't want to do it for more than that because it could become a little more harmful. But I mean, your teeth is how you can. Brushing is not the way. Brushing's not the way to go. You can take a Crest, put it on a toothbrush, and then go out to your car. And if you have a rusted chrome bumper, just start doing this on that rusted and that Crest will take that rust right off. So, I mean, it's like, no, that's why I haven't. And I'm not saying to you young people out there and to any parents that where their child happens to watch this video or that video, hey, I'm sorry if they don't want to brush your teeth and, give you a hard time. I didn't mean it that way, but it's just a common way of life.
Common way of life. Back to politics, man, because I'm a politics guy. I love politics, right? So, since we have this Bitcoin, right, and Bitcoin is to pretty much eliminate the middleman, right? You make a transaction, you eliminate the middleman, and in this case scenario, the middleman is the government, the banks, right? So, are the government truly working for the people, or are they controlled by hidden influence? And do we really need the government now since this Bitcoin thing? Like, why do we really need the government now?
Well, you're always going to need the government. And the reason you're always going to need the government is because they handle world affairs. The Constitution stated that the federal government, its function is to make treaties with other countries, do trades with other countries, trades and everything beneficial, protect the country, have a standing army ready to protect the country in case of invasion or whatever. But it's the whole idea that the country works to protect the people. The people elect the politicians to go in and protect them. Now, what this current administration, and I love it, they want to give the power back to the states. In other words, the government wants to do what it's supposed to do. Take care of the world problems. Let the individual states take care of their own individual problems. Like the Department of Education. They want to get rid of the Department of Education. Well, they should. Because some bureaucrat up in Washington knows what's going on in Oklahoma, knows what's going on. No, hell no. They don't know shit. They're brain dead. They're just there collecting a paycheck. Do you realize that 48% of the budget that's given to the Board of Education or the education, 48% of that goes to administrative fees, bureaucracy, bullshit? Now picture this. Let's give the power back to the states like Trump wants to do. Give the power back to the states. Now we don't need these bureaucrats anymore. So now 45%, let's say, of that money goes, instead of going to them, will filter down where it's supposed to go into the states. That means more money for education for the states to distribute. Each state has a different. Oklahoma, where I live, we're very poor. Arizona, very bad in education. So those states need a little more money than states that have established education in a strong aspect. That's what it needs to be done. And as far as the government controlling crypto, I mean, I don't know if they don't want, the government should not be involved in people's lives. The government is there for one purpose, to serve the people, work for the people, protect the people, and make sure that our businesses and people get the right situations as far as trade and stuff, to where we don't have to worry about being invaded or, cyber attack from one country or another. We just need to live our lives. The government will take care of everything across the seas.
So basically, right, we have a lot of athletes now, right? A lot of famous athletes that young kids looked up to, influence, want to be like them one day, right? So what really separates great athletes from the rest? Is it talent or a mindset, or what's the key to really what separates them?
Boy, now I love that question. That's really interesting, because I've been wondering that myself. Now, like, I have a lot to do with the athletes here at Northwest Oklahoma State, and I look at our football team, our basketball players. We have one young man on our team. His name's Cameron McDowell. Kid's got NBA talent. There's no doubt about it. He's got the moves that he could probably be in the G League 1 or 2 years, and he'll be in one of the major teams right after that. He's got that kind of gift. But what makes him elite over everybody else? It's just a mindset. It's having the right genes that makes, like me, I'm 5'7.5". I mean, I'm not gonna be no great basketball player, or for that matter, I wasn't much of an athlete except for baseball. And the only reason I was so successful in high school and Little League was because I could get away with short legs at that time. But you can't do it in the majors. I mean, I couldn't get more than 83 miles an hour on my velocity on my fastball, only because my short legs kept me from doing that. But so there are handicaps, but not really handicaps. Certain things keep certain kids from doing certain things. But I like at our football players. I look at our receivers. We had one kid out there that made one-handed catches like it was nothing. So what separates him from Jerry Rice, or separates him from Travis Hunter, or these other elite athletes? Wouldn't you think that anybody can catch a dang football? I mean, if it's thrown anywhere near your vicinity, somebody should be able to catch it. But there's one thing that I believe that is the main culprit that separates the elite from the averages, and that's injury. How far are you willing to go to catch that ball in risking a separated shoulder, a broken wrist, a hand, a leg, an ankle? I mean, a lot of it is your mindset. If you're one of those guys that go out there, I don't care if I break my arm, I'll still come back out next week and play, or anything like that, yeah, you're gonna be elite, because you're gonna go out there and take chances. You're gonna go across the middle, go up for that high pass, and he gets speared by that defensive back. Yeah, you might have some bruised ribs or whatever, but you'll get right back up, laugh at him in his face and say, "You didn't hurt me." Then you'll go over to the sideline, and then you'll collapse right to the ground. But I mean, that's just the way. So I think that pain, the fear of getting injured by going over the limit, keeps athletes from being truly as good as they can be. Only your true athletes that just don't care are the ones that seem to go out and beat. Why aren't there more Michael Jordans? I don't know. I mean, certain specimens come along and they just can't be duplicated. I don't know what separates that. It is a frustrating thing because you think anybody that can throw a ball at a hoop, it should go in. Steph Curry, I mean, he just walk up, just throws it up there and it goes in. But yet, somebody else, they go up there, whew, and they miss it. But Steph Curry just comes up and goes, whew, and it goes in. So what separates one athlete from another? I can't really answer that part of the question. I mean,
do work ethic play a part of that?
Well, work ethic always plays much in everything. It's like, the harder you work, the more reward you get. I mean, you got to work on your dribbling, your moves, your shooting. Shoot 100 times, shoot 100 times, shoot 100 times. And there's some players that I know that should be better than what they are, but they're not. And it could be the mindset, it could be other things, distractions, whatever. So yeah, as more as I think about it, a lot of it has to do with your ethic, your work ethic, and the ability of how much pain you want to go through. Because we had when I trained racehorses, we had a saying: if the horse doesn't go fast enough to hurt himself, then he's not a horse. So, so I live by that creed. So we'll say that's about all I can say about it.
Perfect, man. We can stay here. We can chat all day, 24/7. Because you know me, I have shit ton of questions, but I can't give them all right now. So, OG, with that being said, man, gratitude for your time and effort. I know you're a very busy man, but hold on, don't leave yet. Before you leave, at the end of every podcast, you're going to give the people a quick joke. So could you please enlighten your kahunka joke to the viewers?
Okay. There were these three American explorers. They went down to South America because they were exploring the jungles. So unfortunately, they were kind of trespassing. So they were captured by this tribe. And so anyway, obviously they were worried because they were taken to this village. And so they're standing and there's this big hut, whatever. And then all of a sudden, out of this hut walks this big chieftain. Got to be 350, 360 pounds. And he looks down at these three men and he says, "You men trespass forbidden land. Thus you must be punished. Tribal laws say you have choice of two. You can either have death or kahunka." So he pauses for a minute. So he sees this one guy, real squeamish, real frightened individual. "What is your choice?" And he says, "Sir, I don't want to die. So I'll take kahunka." So chief stood up, snaps his finger. All of a sudden, tribesman comes down, throws the guy down, gives him the business. So now the middle guy, "What is your choice?" Now the middle guy is thinking. He sees what happened to this guy, and he's like, "Death or kahunka? I guess I can handle one. I'll take kahunka." So chief snaps finger. Two tribesmen jump on him and give him the business. So now the third guy, the chief asks him. He says, "What is your choice?" He stands up. He sits there, stands up proud, and he says, "I'll take death." Chief snaps finger. Death by kahunka.
With that being said, guys, gratitude for watching, and as always, mind your business.